Have you ever looked forward to something only to feel absolutely nothing when it finally happened? Maybe your favorite game feels boring. Movies don't hold your attention. Food tastes less exciting. Even spending time with people you care about feels strangely flat. And the most confusing part? You remember enjoying these things before. So what changed? Did you change? Did life change? Or is something happening inside your brain that you don't fully understand yet? Today, let's talk about why pleasure sometimes disappears and how it often finds its way back. 1. It's more common than you think. Most people assume happiness and enjoyment should always be available. If something is fun, you should enjoy it. If something makes you happy, you should feel happy. But the human brain doesn't work like a machine. There are periods when the things that normally bring pleasure suddenly stop working. Not because you're lazy, not because you're ungrateful, and not because you've forgotten how to enjoy life. Sometimes your brain is simply running under very different conditions. 2. What is anhedonia? Psychologists use the term anhedonia to describe a reduced ability to experience pleasure. It's not exactly sadness, and it's not exactly boredom. It's more like emotional dullness. You know something should feel good, but the emotional response never fully arrives. People often describe it as, I remember enjoying this, but now I feel nothing. And that disconnect can be incredibly frustrating. 3. Your brain has a reward system. Inside your brain is a network responsible for motivation, reward, and pleasure. This system helps you pursue things that support survival and well-being. Food, relationships, achievement, novelty, connection. When the reward system is functioning well, these experiences create feelings of satisfaction and enjoyment. But like any system, it can become overloaded. And sometimes it begins operating differently. 4. Stress changes everything. One of the biggest pleasure killers is chronic stress. When your brain spends weeks or months focused on survival, it starts prioritizing different functions. Energy gets redirected. Attention narrows. Recovery becomes harder. In this state, pleasure often becomes less important than simply making it through the day. Your nervous system isn't trying to punish you. It's trying to conserve resources. 5. Burnout doesn't always look like exhaustion. When people hear the word burnout, they often imagine someone collapsing from overwork. But burnout can appear much earlier. Sometimes it looks like emotional flatness, a loss of excitement, a loss of curiosity, a loss of motivation. The things that once energized you begin feeling like obligations. And slowly, life starts feeling less colorful than it used to. 6. The problem with constant stimulation. Modern life constantly bombards us with stimulation. Notifications, videos, short-form content, endless entertainment. Our brains evolved in a world with far fewer rewards competing for attention. When we're constantly chasing quick hits of stimulation, everyday pleasures can start feeling weaker by comparison. A quiet walk struggles to compete with endless scrolling. A good conversation struggles to compete with instant novelty. Over time, normal pleasures may begin feeling less rewarding. 7. Why motivation disappears too. Here's something many people don't realize. Pleasure and motivation are closely connected. When your brain expects less reward, it naturally becomes less motivated to pursue activities. That's why people experiencing anhedonia often stop doing things they once loved. Not because they don't care, because their brain no longer expects the effort to feel worthwhile. 8. Waiting to feel better usually doesn't work. When enjoyment disappears, many people make a reasonable assumption, I'll do things again once I feel motivated. The problem is that motivation often returns after action, not before it. This is one of the most frustrating parts of recovery. You may need to continue engaging with life before the positive feelings fully return. Not because you're forcing happiness, because you're helping your brain reconnect with experiences that once mattered. 9. Start smaller than you think. When people try to feel better, they often set huge expectations. Go to the gym. Transform your life. Find a new purpose. Fix everything. But the brain usually recovers through much smaller experiences. A warm shower, fresh air, sunlight, a favorite song, a short walk, a meaningful conversation. Tiny moments of pleasure may seem insignificant, but they often become the foundation for larger improvements. 10. Novelty can wake the brain up. The brain loves novelty. New experiences create new patterns of attention. That's why sometimes a small change can have a surprisingly large effect. Trying a different route, learning a skill, visiting a new place, changing a routine. These experiences don't magically cure emotional numbness, but they can gently reactivate parts of the reward system that have been dormant. 11. Sometimes your brain is asking for rest. Not every problem requires more effort. Sometimes the answer isn't productivity. It's recovery. Your brain cannot continuously perform at full capacity. It needs sleep, downtime, connection, and moments where it isn't constantly solving problems. Many people spend years trying to push through exhaustion, only to discover that what they actually needed was permission to slow down. 12. Your joy is not gone. Perhaps the most important thing to remember is this: the inability to feel pleasure is not proof that happiness has disappeared forever. It doesn't mean you've become a different person, and it doesn't mean you'll never enjoy life again. It often means your brain is overwhelmed, overworked, or asking for something it hasn't been receiving. And brains are remarkably capable of healing. If life feels a little dull right now, if the things you once loved don't feel the same, try not to judge yourself too harshly. Pleasure isn't a switch that stays permanently on, you guys. It fuzz. And sometimes it goes quiet for a while. But quiet doesn't mean gone. With time, support, rest, and small steps forward, your ability to enjoy life can return. Not all at once, not overnight, but gradually, and often when you least expect it. Because your joy may not be lost. It may simply be waiting for the chance to be felt again.